Welcome back, everyone. Now, I think it's fairly safe to say that one of my most popular shows during the week has become this one, the one where it's just me and you, well, kind of. And today, I'm inviting any of you guys that want to hop on. The link is in the chat. As long as you can keep it clean and sensible, you are welcome to come and have your say. Now, I've already got a couple of people in the waiting room. The first one is Shoaib. How do I pronounce your name, my friend?
Yeah, it's Shoaib, but that's fine. You said it correctly. Shoaib.
Shoaib, yeah. How you doing, my friend? You okay?
I'm good. I'm a big fan of yours, Paul. I have to say, I'm a really, really big fan of yours.
Oh, bless you. Thank you very much. Now, I saw you on with Dan from The Voice of Wales. What was all that about? Tell us about it.
Oh, well, there was a protest going on in Swansea, and I wanted to just go and check it out because, see, like I said, I'm not from the UK. I'm basically a Pakistani born raised in Saudi Arabia. So I just wanted to see what is this protest about, because in Saudi Arabia we don't have any protests. Like, you're not allowed to protest about anything there. So I just went on either side, and I wanted to see what it is all about. And I went on the Palestinian side, so-called the peaceful protesters. I went on that side because I myself I am a Muslim, and I'm a legal migrant in the UK, in the country. So when I went up to them, I was just asking them random questions, and there was something that one of the guys said, and it was about, what do you think about Afghans? Or they said something along the lines, and I said, as a Pakistani, we share what do you call as a Pakistani, we share a border with the Afghans. So I can tell you, in my opinion, I believe majority of them, not all of them, but majority of them are very dangerous, and we shouldn't let them in either as asylum seekers or illegally. We need to keep a really good check on them, because even as in Pakistan, we don't let these guys in. I see, like I said, I don't live in Pakistan, but I go to Pakistan. I've got my grandparents in Pakistan. I live in Saudi Arabia, but now I live in the UK. So anyways, the people there, rather than just disagreeing with me, which I was doing with them very politely and respectfully, they start calling me a racist. And I looked at them and I said, I just literally gave you an opinion. And the person who called me a racist, she was a white lady. And I said to her, you are the one, you're saying you're standing against the anti-racist. You are the anti-racist. You're standing up against the racist people, which were, according to them, were Dan. But at this point, I didn't know who Voice of Wales, Dan, and all of these people were, because I never heard of them. Yeah. So I listened to them, and they actually start harassing me. They start coming up to me, waving their flags at me, and she actually hit me on the side of my head. And the police was there. And what I did, obviously, I recorded everything, and I uploaded all the videos on my YouTube, and I got really good support from people. But anyways, while I was there, she was saying, "Oh, look at this! We've got a racist from Pakistan." Then another white gentleman came behind me, and he said to me, "Where are you from?" And I said to him, I'm from Pakistan." And he said, "Oh, do you not know your history?" I said, "Look, I don't need to know my history. I do not need to know what happened 1,500 years ago, because I'm here today." And they took offense of that as well. So I was just trying to briefly let him know that, when you say that, let's say if I have a son or a daughter, and let's say if I was a criminal, people always say, obviously in a free country, that you should not judge your kids according to your parents. The same way my parents can be saint, and if I'm a criminal, you can't, that's not a blame of my parents. So I said, if you can talk about, your mom and dad or your kids, why do you want to go back to 14 or 1,500 people, 1,400 years ago, which I don't even know who these people were? Why would I be annoyed, or even why would I even think about it? We are so busy. We've got so much things that I'm doing right now. Everybody's busy with the bills. They got problems and everything. So all I said to them was trying to explain to them, but they won't listen to me. You know what, Paul? They start harassing me. They start following me around. But I thought it will stay here. So I went on the other side, to the Den side, where the Voice of Wales are, supposedly the racist people were. So I went up to them. One, I was welcome. They welcomed me very nicely. They're very polite to me. I asked them question, and I very respectfully said to them, "Is it okay if I record you?" And they were like, "Yeah, of course you can record us." And then I have an interview. We did an interview with Dan, and the lady on the other side, supposedly, who was calling me a racist, she turned around and she started calling me a coconut. And you know what? Now we have this thing where my brothers and everybody started to call me coconut as well, because they've seen it on my videos.
So you've got yourself a new nickname as well.
Exactly, I have. Yes. Like I said, I don't take offense of these things, right? This is not offensive to me, but I said, and I laughed it off. We were on a channel with Dan in his interview. We just I laughed, and I said, I don't understand these people, but you won't. But you won't believe it, right? This all happened, and I thought it was all good. But as I was walking past the march and I was going back into my car to drive home, I've seen some of the guys that I know. These are the Muslim boys they used to play that I used to play football with like 1 year ago. But they still got my number and everything in their WhatsApp group. Till today, they have it. Like, you know, I didn't see any reason to remove myself from the group. Like, I wasn't any active, but I left it there. So, anyways, I went home. This happened on a Saturday. And Sunday early morning, I received a phone call from a no caller ID number. Like I said, I was half asleep. So I just answered it. And it was that lady that called me a coconut, that called me racist. And she said to me, well, guess what? I'm coming to your home and I'm bringing Afghans with me and see what I'm going to do to you. And I just replied to her and I said to her, look, you were telling me yesterday that Afghan people are so nice and I'm being racist by calling them out saying that, oh, they're dangerous. But now what we are talking about is what I'm saying to you, that you're telling me you're going to bring Afghans. Unless you come in here to give me a massage or to sing songs to me, why is it that you come into my house in the first place? Why do you know where I live? And she actually knew where I live. And then she also said that, oh, I know where you work. I'm going to go to your work and I'm going to let them know how racist you are. I'm going to release your videos. I said, you can do whatever you want to do. Obviously, it is my opinion. And last time I checked, we live in a free country. And, you know, I still like to believe that we have freedom of speech. But unfortunately, what I've seen on Saturday, like I said, it was very harmless. I just had an opinion. And I went home. I didn't even think about it. But then I got a phone call from this lady. And I was like, I can't believe it. But I did manage to recall literally a very last bit of it. And then I went to the police as well, because I have had, like I said, a lot of support.
What did they have to say? The police, were they interested?
Oh, you know what? This was the funny thing. When I went to the police, obviously they seen a brown guy talking about a white lady. Before anything, they thought, okay, maybe he's the one who was supporting the Palestine, and the white lady might be the so-called racist, as you know, as people have started to call that. So when I start telling the police what has happened, and the moment I said to them, oh well, I was actually on the other side, and this was my opinion, they couldn't believe it. For a second, they just stopped there, and they were like, because you know, usually you go there, they will say, give us your problem, we'll give you a reference number and we'll call you later on. And that's exactly what happened. I told them and I saw them, they were a bit shocked, but I didn't know what else to do. I took the reference number and I literally popped down to Tesco. While I was in Tesco, 5 minutes later, they gave me a call. They said, excuse me, sir, where have you gone? I said, just gone out to grab something to eat. They were like, no, you need to come back right now. We need to have a chat with you right now. The officers. And when I went to the officers, and they start, you know, getting the back of the story, everything I said, I showed them the videos. And the police was like, you know what, we know this lady, she have caused a lot of trouble, and you won't believe it, Paul. They were so good to me. They were so helpful to me. Literally within 5 minutes, they solved everything for me. And then they turned around and the police said to me, what is it that you would like us to do to this lady? And I said, look, I can stand here today and I can tell you, yes, she was racist to me because the thing she said, she did try to hit me with her flag, but again, you know, she didn't hurt me. I think I'm not hurt. Nothing happened. So I said, they did ask me if I wanted to put this down as a racism case. But see, for me, I stand against it. I've been in the country for 8 years. With my accent, with the way I look, I never have had any issues with white people, right? The only people that I have had issues with, I've been called freshie by my own people, by these Asians, these Pakistanis, Bangladeshi. A white person have never said anything to me. 8 years in the country, right? The only people have said something to me, called me a freshie after I did interview with Dan. And after I have had my opinion, they start calling me freshie, they start calling me, oh, all these things, you know. But like I said,
your experience so far with us horrible right-wing thugs is that we've actually treated you quite well. Is that what it is?
very well, I must say. You know, I have actually gotten the best British experience that anybody can ask for. And like I said, I told the police I would not want to charge her for racism. The only thing I was, and the reason behind this was because, see, I don't want to use what they use, right? For them, it's very easy to get away with anything, to say, oh, you know, they're racist, and that's it. That's the end of conversation. For me, I don't want to make that, even though, like I said, I could very easily use that, but I didn't use it. I said to them, just tell her not to threaten me, tell her not to bring Afghans or all these people to my house. And other than that, I said to them, I will be on every protest, and if they want to speak to me, I'm right here. I'm more than happy to speak to them, respectfully, obviously. Yeah, that was.
I'm very glad that you've come on. I thank you so much for that. We'll actually have you on the show again in the future as well. Yes. But it's important. I mean, it's really nice to hear. I mean, I know Dan fairly well. He's a lovely man, very polite. And it's nice that someone like yourself has seen the truth. And on top of that, is brave enough to come on and tell the truth. We really appreciate it.
So, Paul, I just say one thing lastly, because I am actually in my break. I need to go back into work. I literally just wanted to come on and I wanted to say all these things. And like I said, man, I'm a big fan. I'm a huge fan.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that, my friend. I really do.
You have no idea. I've got a lot of support by the so-called right wingers, but amazing people. I know where I stand now. Obviously, I was a bit unbiased on both sides because I want to see both sides. The way these people have treated me now, right? There's no way I'm going to, I'm not going to go on that side. I know where I stand. So
let me assure you something, my friend. Nobody in this movement is racist. We're not far right. We're just right, and we're in it together, and that's it.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Paul.
You have a great day, my friend. Thank you very much. All the best, yeah. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. What a nice guy. So that's lovely to see. I mean, that is the truth. And there's people out there that won't like that. That's for sure. Howard is a new member. Thank you very much, Howard. If you want to help support the channel, if you can become a member, that really helps. I see Richard is trying to get on. I think he's running off the... Richard, if you can hear me, mate, you got to put some money in the meter. There he's in again. He's having trouble today. Look.
Yeah, mate. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, Richard. I can't see you yet, but I can hear you. No, he's gone again. Right, I've just put the link in there. If anyone wants to hop on and have their say this afternoon, this is your chance. Maldy says, Richard is coming and going. Maybe he can't make his mind up. I think he's got to put some money in the meter. Where are we? Let's have a little look. GMB, good days, guys from Adelaide. God blimey, I wonder what the time is out there. Tony says, I like Richard. So do I when I can get him on. Upgrade that broadband, Richard. Yeah, that's what he's got to do. Anyway, guys, look, the topic of today, later on, I've got a message coming up from a lady that lives in London. I'm not going to play it just yet. We'll get into it a little bit later. But it absolutely broke my heart when I heard it, and I'll play it to you a little bit later on. And we'll get into that a little bit later. If you want to pop on today, the link is in the chat. Don't be shy. You haven't necessarily got to show your face, but obviously the rules are you keep it decent. Rico says, I've managed to get 100 of my friends to come out on the 26th. That's absolutely amazing. We need the biggest turnout ever on the 26th. Hopefully everyone will be able to make it along. Richard, you're back. Richard. No, he's in and out like a fiddler's elbow today. What's going on? Late to the party, what have I missed? We can rewind it and start from beginning, Big Red, if you wanted to. So loads of rumours doing around about Keir Starmer. I'm not going to go into them at the moment. I'm going to wait and see. I'm going to wait for the truth to come out. I think that's the best thing to do. I noticed that Dan Wooden put a video out last night. And when I went to watch it, it had been removed. I hope Dan is being careful. He's a nice guy, Dan. I don't want to see him get himself into any trouble. So, yeah, I think we've got to be careful with that one because two-tier Kia is on the rampage, I believe. Gene McDonald. Hi, Paul. Love your channel. Well said from the Pakistani gentleman. Wish everyone was like him. Great regards and respects from Scotland, from Gene McDonald. What a magnificent Scottish name. Martin, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Paul. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. Thank you.
And good afternoon to Richard as well.
Good afternoon, Mr. Inman. How are you?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. Thank you. I just wanted to say I've sent you a message.
You guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm not bad, mate. I just want to say thank you for what you're doing with this. This is, you'll notice this hat, Paul. Wyrack.
Oh, yeah. You're an air rifle man, are you?
Yeah, love me Wyracks, mate. Yeah, it's got my nickname on the side. I just want to say, Paul, Richard, everybody else, thank you for what you're doing with this. this is keeping my head together.
Well, that's
This,
the aim.
this keeps me going, mate.
Richard, is that you echoing? Richard,
Not
put
me.
your earphones in.
It's not me echoing, is it?
I don't think so. Let me just kick Richard out for a second and see. No, it's not Richard. Have you got me on loudspeaker, Martin?
I may have.
Yeah, turn me down a bit, mate, and we should be all right.
Let me turn the speaker down a bit.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Because all we're getting at the moment is feedback, unfortunately.
Is that any better?
No, Martin, I'll tell you what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to kick you out for a minute, Martin. No, it's not you, Martin. Who's got their loudspeaker on?
Not me.
Let's have a little look. No, I think it's Working Class Patriot. Yep, it's Working Class Patriot. Right, okay, so that's better. Sorry about the sound issue. Martin, thank you very much for that. Look, you know, we do our best. Richard, can you hear us now?
Yeah, loud and clear, mate. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate. Kevin, good afternoon, Kevin.
Hiya.
How you doing? Yeah, look, we try our best. Kevin, what did you want to say, mate?
I'm just worried about the people that are on remand. That still haven't worked out the charges for people yet. You know, now my son's been on remand 8 weeks, and he's just been told he's got another 8 weeks to wait before he gets a court date now.
Is this a friend of yours, did you say?
This is my son.
Your son? Oh, wow.
18-year-old, and he's suffering big time where he is, like.
So he's on remand at the moment?
He's on remand at the moment. He's been on remand 8 weeks so far. He's got another 8 weeks before he even gets a trial date. He's yet to speak to his barrister.
Wow.
He's had 2 minutes.
What's this for, Kevin? Is
He's
this
had
for
2 minutes with his barrister, and that's all.
What's it for, Kevin? What's your remand for?
Well, he was down at one of the parks at Middlesbrough when all this kicked off in Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
We don't live in Middlesbrough. We live 10 miles away, but he'd gone down, you know, to see what a protest was about. He'd gone with his girlfriend, really, for, you know, whatever in the park.
Yeah.
But he got kettled in like a lot of them, and I understand. I understand both sides of it, because I've had the baton in my hand and I've had the shield in my hand. More as a soldier, and we trained the police, of course. But it's a real concern that they banged up 22 hours a day. My son's autistic as well, and they banged up 22 hours a day. And in the last week, we've noticed that his health is definitely starting to decline. All he can do is sleep. That's all they do. It's what the other lads do. He said it's just they've got nothing else to do but sleep. You have 2 hours out. Now that's to get your dinner, to get your tea, half an hour in the exercise yard. When his barrister did get in touch with him 2 weeks ago, she was waiting to do a video link with the prison, and they never even went for him. You know, the prison guards just didn't go to get him and take him. He was expecting it. He knew he had a video link at like 3 o'clock, and it didn't happen. They just didn't bother going for him. His barrister was sat there waiting. It's appalling. It's absolutely appalling.
So Kevin, he's been on remand for 8 weeks. He's 18 years old.
Yeah.
And he's got to wait another 8 weeks to get a trial date.
Yeah, they've been given a date, but whether it'll change again, they were trying to work out how long left they could keep him. I think that's till the 5th of February or something like that. Makes it about 6 months.
And what's he charged with, Kevin?
Yeah, what's he charged with?
He was arrested on 3 charges. Yeah, he was. Well, He's charged with everything. He's charged with the main one that everybody is charged with. Well, I can't remember what that is.
Violent disorder, is it? Violent disorder?
What do they call it?
Violent disorder?
What's the big charge that they're all getting?
Violent disorder?
Yeah, violent disorder.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was stood with his girlfriend at the time when they grabbed him. As well, he was with another couple from where we live, you know, another lad and lass.
Yeah.
And he was stood with his girlfriend when they grabbed him. When they initially grabbed him, they have one statement from a policeman. That's all they've got. They did say that he had stones in his pocket. On the second search. They didn't find stones in his pocket on the first search, but they did find stones after he was handcuffed and down at the police station. They found stones in his pocket. Now that's been dropped now. That's now been dropped. But that still remains 2 charges, which is the violent disorder, the top one, and he's also being charged with what they're trying to describe as carrying an offensive weapon. Now, what he actually had, and I don't know whether you've seen these things before, a lot of the young ones have them, especially if they smoke any weed. He had a grinder in his pocket, a cannabis grinder or a black pepper grinder or whatever you want to call it. Now, I say whatever you want to call it because the law have described it as a hockey puck inside a sock. Okay? A hockey puck.
Hang on. They described it as what?
They've described it as a hockey puck.
Right.
Inside a sock. But it's not a hockey puck, it's a grinder. You know, it's a grinder for herbs, if you like.
Yes.
Yeah, that won't stand up that trial with them, will it?
I mean, it sounds to me. It sounds to me like you need a new solicitor, mate.
They're trying to stick you up by saying he's got.
You're frozen there, Kevin.
Well, that's a funny thing because when I went down to the court,
Yeah, Kevin, if you can still hear me, my friend, you've frozen. Just 1 second, we'll catch up with you again in just a sec. Martin, stay there. Working class patriot, stay there. Martin, look, that's a terrible. Sorry, Kevin, that's a terrible story. What I would say is that first of all, I think you need a new solicitor, my friend, because
definitely,
you know, there's something not right here for an 18-year-old boy, which is all right. Technically, he's a man.
Yeah, but he's not the only one.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of people in there that by the time they get to it, the only charge that they'll have for him is this made up violent disorder one.
Yeah. And he's obviously pleaded not guilty.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Good lad. I mean, I think that's a really important thing with these fake charges that people aren't talked into pleading guilty. You know, the reality is, you know, even if he's doing 8 weeks or whatever it is, once he gets to court and he gets a decent brief, he will be, you know, hopefully exonerated. There's actually a fella. I tell you what, Kevin, see after the call, if you get in touch with Paul, right, give Paul your number, because we might be able. There's a friend of mine that said he can probably help with the legals, right? So if you get in touch with Paul, and we'll see if we can see if this is still available, and I'll find out if we can do something with that. Yeah. If you want to
I'll
have a look
certainly
at it.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to have a look at a new solicitor, but I'll talk to Paul about it afterwards.
Kevin, if you've got a facility there, can you see the private chat button?
Just let me have a look now.
If you can see the private chat button, I'll give you a minute to try and find that. You can pop your number in there. No one else will be able to see it. I'm just going to go to Working Class Patriot for a moment. How you doing?
Yeah, how's it going, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm all well. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad.
What do you got on your mind this afternoon?
Well, I'm pretty much just preparing for the 26th. I think it's one of the most important demonstrations that we've had in a number of years. A lot of people, I know, after the fallout of Southport, were scared. A lot of people felt intimidated by this government, and it's extremely important now for us to go out onto the streets and show that we're not going to be scared into silence, basically. So I think it is showing up on the 26th is about as of an important thing that you could do as a patriot in this country as it's been in the last 20 or 30 years.
I totally agree. I think, you know, this is the time to take a stand, and you know, I've just been funny. That's why I was on late. I've just been talking to the public order police who are going to be policing it, and it looks like it's going to be a massive demo, and we've got all sorts of, you know, we've got extra space, we've got all sorts of stuff going on. So yeah, it should be a really good day. And again, you know, I think after what's happened, I think it's in Keir Starmer's interest to make sure that there's no heavy-handed policing of that event. And certainly the conversations I've had with these officers that we worked with on the last 3 demos, and Tommy said the same yesterday on his video. Basically, I think we're going to have a good day, and I think you know, as long as there's not any disorder coming from our side, which we'll actually make sure that there's nothing coming from our side. I don't think there'll be a problem. I think it'll be a really good day, and we're in a very safe, contained area as well. So for anyone coming or thinking about coming, don't worry about getting arrested. Don't worry about getting into any confrontations. 2 sides of the coin will be kept totally apart. The left will be a long way. We'll be a long way away from them. And it's going to be an excellent day. It's going to be absolutely superb.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the main message is that everyone's just got to stay cool, calm, collected and peaceful, and I'm sure it'll be a magnificent day. And by the way, guys, no facial coverings at all, please. Facial coverings are not welcome.
Exactly. And I think the reality is, if anyone wants to come and cause trouble, it's the wrong demo for you. It's not a demo. It's still a celebration. We're still about uniting the kingdom. We're not about fighting with the police. We're not about causing any aggro. It's going to be a very, very dignified, peaceful, and respectful event, as they've all been. You know, let's get it right. They've all been really, really positive, and we've got a lot of really good plans in place to make it as safe as possible. Look, there's no guarantee when you go somewhere where there's maybe 100,000 people. There's no guarantee that there's not going to be some idiot there, but we'll be doing our best. I know most of the people in the crowd will be doing the best to keep everybody calm, keep everybody sensible, and make sure that it's a really good day. And the message of the day is exactly as you're saying, Patriot, working class Patriot. The message of the day is we've got to take a stand now for our freedom and show that protests do not have to end in violence. You'll have protests without violence, and that's what we've done for the past 4 events, and we're going to keep doing that.
And that's how it should be, Richard.
Exactly, Martin. Exactly.
Kevin, there's a number scrolling across the screen there. You can actually WhatsApp your number to that number. Can you see the number?
I've struggled to do that at the moment, Paul, because this is a temporary phone. The police have got my phone.
Okay. Well, you need to get hold of me, mate, because Richard wants to pass on your number. We might be able to try and help you in some way. But it's a great message that you bring on this afternoon. It's extremely worrying that people
but it's not.
It really is worrying. Sorry?
It's not a one-off, though, is it? It's not. This isn't an isolated incident, is it? This is the thing.
How many of them are there?
Exactly. You know, Paul, Richard, Tommy Robinson, you're all bringing this to the front for people to see that actually how corrupt the system is, the policing, the judicial system, how corrupt it is. I've got family that live in Thailand. I've been going there for donkey's years. And the corruption, that's straight there in your face, and you can see it all the time. That they don't hide the corruption over there. It's in plain sight, especially with the police, where it's all been tried to be swept under the carpet. Don't let anybody see anything over here. Now this is all coming out now, and people are seeing what it's actually like. the amount of corruption, Paul.
I wonder how many people there are like his son, Kevin, currently sitting in a cell somewhere, not been granted bail. Oh, by the way, good afternoon, Claire. We'll come to you in a minute.
Okay, guys.
Hi, Claire.
I wonder how many people there are languishing in a prison cell somewhere that just shouldn't be there. I mean, why the hell has he not been granted bail?
Well, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, when you think about some of the Hallions that they let out, Paul, you know, we know there's people that's committed all sorts of heinous offences. This young man has not been charged. I mean, it sounds, and again, we've got to be careful what we say. We're not going to mention the guy's name, but it sounds like it is very, very much a trumped up situation. And, you know, going to a protest with your girlfriend on a Sunday afternoon should not get you locked up in a prison for 16 weeks. It just shouldn't be happening. It's absolutely scandalous. And, you know, we need to start really a big part of the 26, Kevin, is going to be about people like your son. And I'm not asking you to mention his name, but people like your son who have been quite obviously just banged up because the police wanted numbers to show that they were doing something. And you know, if you can get your phone number to me, Kevin, I'll get in touch with my contact that's got access to really good criminal barristers.
I'm writing this.
Great.
Yeah,
if you get it at Paul, and then
I don't think actually. I really respect what you're saying and the help of the offer of help. But we have got another, if you like, another avenue to follow.
Okay, that's fair enough.
As far as the barristers go,
okay,
we're not in the position. My family isn't in a position to be able to afford to do this, but luckily we have a couple of members of the family that one's married to a barrister, and they're very sort of affluent and happy to help.
Okay, if they're okay, that's
so
fair
we have talked. We have been discussing a different barrister so far, but we haven't done anything about it. You know, it's just who's been appointed by our solicitor. In fact, I didn't meet our solicitor, or my son's solicitor, I should say, until last Thursday when I was down at the Crown Court and I went down to see what there was. I thought we actually thought he might get bail that day.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
and
that will be
not one of them
that.
did.
That will be the aim. That will be the aim right now to try and get him some bail. I just want to bring Claire in. Good afternoon, Claire. How are you?
I'm all right, Dave. How are you? And Richard?
Very well, thank you.
Good to see you.
What have you got on your mind this afternoon, Claire?
Right, I'm going to completely change the situation now. Right, this is for both of you. With the situation in Israel at the minute, Starmer has confirmed that Britain was involved, but we don't know how much. My concern is, if this should get worse, will others retaliate in this country? How do you feel?
What a great point. Absolutely. What a great point. I mean, I was saying last night, Claire, I'll go first, that, you know, we can't get involved in these wars on one side whilst we're importing supporters from the other. It just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense at all. And I fear there will be a backlash. And I'm hearing that there is potentially even a frightening potential of a coordinated backlash, not only here, but potentially right across Europe as well.
Yeah.
It's a very, very frightening prospect. Richard, what do you make of that?
Well, you know, my mantra goes back to the old days of the IRA, and incidentally, I think Kevin probably fought against the IRA as well. The IRA were roundly defeated, and then the victory was lost by the last Labour government. But that's another story. But you don't surrender to terrorists. I think we've got to get rid of moral equivalence. There is no moral equivalence between Israel and Iran. Iran is a theocracy. It has killed more Muslims in the wars it's been involved in than Israel has ever done. It is a sectarian theocracy. It is run by theocratic dictators. that care nothing for their people. They care about the ideology and nothing else. Israel is a democracy. It's not a perfect democracy. There is no perfect democracy, but it is a democracy. It's a Western democracy. It has been the bulwark against Islamist terrorists since the 1960s, at least.
Yeah.
And I think we need to stop worrying about what any jihadis will do in this country. I think what we've got to realize is that those jihadists in the Middle East have one ideology, and it is kill every single Jew in Israel and take Israel back for the caliphate.
And Christian.
Yeah, absolutely, and Christian. Yeah, absolutely.
I actually stand alongside Israel. I think that, the country has been sort of attacked, and I do believe the same with this country. If something happens, we should be able to look after our country.
Absolutely.
I just fear that it may turn in this country. I might be wrong. I don't know.
No, well, I think the thing is, the reality is, there's a friend of mine, and he, I'm not saying where he works, but he's very very well connected. He lectures in international studies and terrorism, and he's very well connected. And what he said to me, he said, look, since October the 7th, the radicalization has gone completely off the chart. Now, even before Israel put one boot on the ground in Gaza, Islamists were being radicalized in this country, and the left were being radicalized in this country. And I think this is a very, if I feel there's an issue of right and wrong, I'll always be very, very vocal on it. And this is an issue of right and wrong. And there's no moral equivalence between a terrorist organization that is barbaric to their own people, uses their own people as human shields, and allows their people to be killed to get their way, and a liberal democracy. And I've got many friends that are Jewish, many friends in Israel, and what they are living under is horrific. If those ballistic missiles had landed, if one of those ballistic missiles had landed had been launched earlier and landed on a primary school and killed 100 Jewish babies, I wonder, what would we expect Israel to do? Would we expect them to go, and I was talking to my wife about this the other day, and I said, if somebody goes to punch you in the face and they miss, and then they pull the hand back to punch you again and you knock them out, that's called self-defense. And Israel has every right to take severe action against Iran and basically remove the leadership of the Iranian regime. And the vast majority of the Iranian people would rejoice. Those women that are being brutalized by the Sharia police, the people of different Zoroastrians and Christians and atheists in Iran that have been persecuted, the Sunni minority that
they are rejoicing.
Exactly, they will rejoice if that regime is basically dealt with and taken out of the way, and that's what needs to happen. There needs to be regime change in Iran without a shadow of a doubt. And and I think if Muslims in the UK rise up as a result of that and attack the British state, then they need to be dealt with very severely by the British state as well, because there is absolutely no justification for anybody.
It just concerns me that how Starmer is at the moment. I don't know whether he would. I don't know what to say really on how to say this.
He seems to have 1 foot over each side of the fence, doesn't he? I think
that's what I'm trying to.
That's what we're hearing, Paul. Anyway.
Yeah.
But he seems to have a little bit more weight on 1 foot than the other, Paul, to be fair, doesn't he?
That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know how to say it, but yes, what I mean, one-sided.
Yeah.
Let me just bring Simon in. Simon, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Paul.
How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm just trying to sort my camera out. I can't turn it on for some reason.
Well, that's all right. We can hear you, my friend. What you got on your mind this afternoon?
I just want to talk about the way this country is. I mean, if you look at our history, how beautiful this country was. I mean, think about the things we've brought to the world. We brought poetry, we brought the industrial era, the ending of slavery, we brought J.K. Rowling, William Shakespeare. Britain invented probably 51% of the things we have today. I mean, electricity was founded by the British scientists, the light bulb, the car engine. why is this country deemed as the devil of the world? We're so hated by the world that people have this agenda against Britain when we've basically made everybody's lives around the world better by inventing all the things we've invented.
I think you're right, Simon. There is a lot of hatred for us from around the world, but I do also believe, I like to be a little bit positive and believe that there's also a lot of love and respect for us, certainly from places like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the United States, and other countries around the Commonwealth. But you're right, there does appear to be a lot of hate for us, particularly the English.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, as English people, we're looked upon as, I can't describe how we're looked upon. We're just looked upon as garbage to be thrown out. Why are we so hated? Why is it the world? A lot of countries around the world are starting to hate us now and starting to call us this, that, and the other. I guess their answer to that would be
jealousy.
Yeah, jealousy. But their answer would be probably, just playing devil's advocate and second guessing what they would say. They would probably say it's because of our past. But I'll remind them that that has nothing to do with us on the earth today.
Well, I would like to, I mean, I think what we've got to do when they make those arguments, we've got to look at our past. And Simon very articulately laid out what our past is. Our past is basically doing away with slavery, exporting law and order, Christianity, proper governance around the globe, creating some amazing literature, Shakespeare, the King James Version of the Bible. We could go on and on and on. If you go to Africa and go into a church in Africa that speaks English, they'll be reading the King James Version of the Bible. And, what England has done, and Scotland and Ireland, has been phenomenal in the past 400 years, since the Reformation. And it is jealousy. And a lot of it as well is because of the ridiculous weakness of the education system and the self-hatred of a lot of these academics who are communists and globalists. And I think that's one of the things that we're doing with the pledge, Paul. We've got to fight back. And the pledge goes a long way to addressing that.
Do you think this, Richard, do you think this hatred starts in our schools?
Yeah.
This self-loathing? It does. For me, it does.
Absolutely. And it's very interesting because, a lot of when Blair devolved power to Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales, the hatred, the anti-English hatred in Scotland was at fever pitch and it seems to wane now, but it was at fever pitch a few years ago. The same in Ireland. And England has a checkered past in both Scotland and Ireland, but like you said, Paul, that was a long, long time ago. And I think that the reality is we brought far more benefit to the world than we have anything negative. And I would say more than any other nation, including the United States. I say Britain has done more to bring civilization, good governance, good religion, and peace to the world than any other nation on earth.
I would say that I think right now the English, the Irish, the Scots, and the Welsh are probably closer than we have been for a long time. Let me just read some of this out. Howard, thank you very much. David says, Richard, the Muscles from Brussels is here. Ghost Knight is a new member, and he says, he's been a member for 2 months, and says, what main channel will it be broadcast on? There'll be a number of those. I will certainly be doing something. Shazza, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Ghost Knight, what will be the best channel to watch on the 26th? Well, I think Maya usually does one of the best, but I think we'll all be having a go.
I tell you what, actually, Street Mike, if Street Mike's doing it, that's Wendell. If Wendell's doing it from Street Mike, his streams are absolutely
very good indeed.
I'm going to be talking to Wendell soon about that anyway, so hopefully we'll be doing the stream.
Andy Bins, who's been a member for 7 months. Hi, Andy. He says the UK have a Russian ship 20k of bombs sat off the UK.
That's right. Yeah. Basically, what they've got a ship full of fertilizer. It's somewhere I think off Maidstone. Maidstone, I think, and it was off Norway, and then it limped down the North Sea. And it's sitting there, and whether it's a deliberate bomb or whether it's just a whole lot of fertilizer that's unstable, but there's a lot of explosives in that. I think they said it's like 50 times the explosives that was in that warehouse that blew half of Beirut.
20,000 tons.
20,000 tons. There you go. Yeah, and that's sitting off the south coast.
Yep.
Let me just get up. I've
Pull
got
the
a couple of
plug out.
messages. Sorry? I've got a couple of messages that I want to play, guys. Let's have a little look. Got this video coming. This is very interesting. We're going to follow this one up. Have a listen to this.
Hi, I just put a super chat in Paul's YouTube live. Alex Kearney from Glasgow. I was down in London with all the guys over a month ago. Tommy will vouch for me. Knows who I am. AC coming back to life. AC Spartan on TikTok. My Facebook is Spartan Child Protection Team. You'll see who I am there. I've got proof today, presented with evidence that a massive conglomerate national company are taking hundreds of millions for the Home Office to house high risk reoffenders, sex offenders, and all the immigrants. How they're doing it, how the finance is getting paid out, where these people are from, their MAPA category, i.e. how high risk they are, and they're slipping them in all over the UK, and nobody knows about this. This is someone within the company whistleblowing for me. I've got all the proof. They'll provide everything, spreadsheets, the whole shooting match. This is a massive story, and I need it to get out on the right platforms, guys. So if you could get this to him, see what he says, and get in touch. Thank you very much. Cheers. Good night.
Very interesting indeed. I'll be following that one up. I've got a couple of voice messages that I want to play this afternoon as well. And for me, the biggest one I'm going to leave till last. But let me play you this one that came in last night after the show last night.
All right, chaps. Yeah, obviously earlier talking about Netanyahu. I can't even pronounce his name. Basically, yeah, back in 2022, there was quite a lot of protests. So this is way before the conflict that's happening now. And it was regards to, I've got a part of the article here. I'll read it to you on why. It's the longer Netanyahu has held power in Israel, the more allegations of corruption and criminal conduct he has faced. His personnel legal vulnerability has likely reinforced his aristocratic tendencies. Netanyahu's 2022 government demonstrated its authoritarian tilt with the push for a judicial reform bill that will hobble the Israeli judiciary's capacity to review legislation and the government action. So basically, yeah, he's that's what a lot of the Israelis have. Obviously, that's why there may be points where he might, when this conflict is over, and like your mate said, I can't remember his name, sorry, said that's why he's keeping this war going, because he knows the minute the war's over, he could be placed on charges for corruption and criminal conduct, basically. I also wanted to add to the conversation, obviously this is, if you put it on tonight, Paul, is that regarding the pro-Palestinian march, what really bugs me is someone who's ex-military, is seeing that, we're seeing, like your mate said, the open supportness for terrorist organisations. Back in 2014, during the conflict in the Middle East with ISIS, more British Muslim fighters went to join ISIS. It was about 1,500 of them in total, roughly, that they know of, went to join ISIS instead of joining the British Armed Forces. My thought is, like, how many British Muslims now currently are flying out to the Middle East to fight against Israel? And if the MI5 and the Home Office are keeping quiet about it. All right, chaps. Yeah, obviously earlier talking about Netanyahu.
Oh, so that's on the replay there. So there's a good point there. I mean, we was talking about Netanyahu last night, saying that, there are questions to be answered for him later on. And people were questioning, is that one of the reasons why he's keeping this war going? That was that gentleman's viewpoint. Let's have a look at see who we've got in the show right now. Kevin, you seem to be having trouble reconnecting, my friend. So I'm going to thank you for your time today. Please get in touch if you need to regarding your son. Simon, what did you make of that last caller?
He's got a really good point. There has been a few things where Netanyahu has been looked at, not by just his own establishment, but by the global community. There's things he's done in the past that wouldn't sit nicely with a lot of people today. But then on the other hand, people need to realize is that Israel is surrounded by hostile enemies all around it. And he's doing what he can to protect his country. There's no way of looking at it, because it literally says it in the Hamas charter that they want the destruction of Israel. They literally want the end of Israel. So what more can Netanyahu really do? He's got no other choice than to attack the problem head on. It's a bad situation in Gaza and what's going on in the Middle East, of course, but it's like what happened in 2001, September the 11th. America was attacked. They flew over to the Middle East because they were defending their country. It's the same situation with Israel. They're doing the exact same thing. The only difference is that Israel lives right on top of what they got to fight, whereas America's thousands of miles away. That's the only difference.
Richard, have you got a dive?
Yeah, I mean, just on the Netanyahu thing, I think obviously he's a controversial figure without a shadow of doubt. But I think in terms of keeping the war going, I think it's obvious who's keeping the war going. It's it's Iran and its proxies that are wanting to. I mean, if they could kill every Jew tomorrow, Iran would. If Iran had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it. They've made that very obvious. If you're launching ballistic missiles at a country, if it wasn't for the Iron Dome, there'd be thousands of casualties in Israel. So I just think there's a lot of left-wing propaganda that slips through the net and doesn't get challenged. And the reality is, cometh the man, cometh the hour. I think Netanyahu's the man for the hour, and hopefully he gets the job done and deals with these terror states that should have been dealt with a long time ago, to be brutally honest with you.
And for the benefit of the people that live in those states as well.
Well, that's the whole point, Paul. If you get rid of those, probably 10% of the people in Iran support the regime. But because they've got the secret police, they've got the Republican Guard, not the Republican Guard, what they call it, the Revolutionary Guard, they can control the state exactly the way Saddam Hussein did. Now, obviously, there's always problems when you have regime change because there's a period of chaos afterwards, but it's then down to the people of Iran to get themselves, some good governance and take control, because Iran used to be a very tolerant,
very nice country. Yeah,
very beautiful country.
Well, this is the thing, Richard. Again, guys, right? This is where the old saying of the peaceful minority actually being irrelevant.
The peaceful majority. The peaceful majority
become irrelevant, and the violent minority are the ones that are relevant.
Well, that's what happened. That's what happened in 1979, isn't it?
Exactly.
In Iran.
Exactly.
Go back to that. The left jumped in with, what word do we use? Well, Islamists.
Yeah.
They got very big, and then they wiped the floor. That's exact, and that's what's happening here. Why can't people see that?
Of course.
But if you look at what's happening actually in Iran today, I mean, the majority of the Iranian population, they want this regime gone. They literally don't.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course they do. Of course they do. Look what's been happening. Girls are getting killed because they're showing a little bit of hair.
Yeah.
It's like the morality police. Hang on. Can we not see in this country what's happening? It's like deja vu of Iran, isn't it? From 79.
I just don't know how anyone can defend that sort of behaviour. Edward Snowden is a new member. Thank you very much, Edward. Really appreciate that. Right now, guys, we're getting to the time of the show. Richard, do you want to stay for this last message?
I'm gonna. Okay, yeah, because I need to be off at 2, Paul. So yeah,
because this is a big one for me. This is a hard-hitting message. Have a listen to this.
Hi, Paul and guests. I'm a 50-year-old woman and I live in London, and for the past few years I've felt increasingly unsafe and I don't leave the house. Sadly, my child passed away at the beginning of this year of a serious illness, and I've got one surviving child left, a young man. He's only 20 years of age, and twice in the last 2 months he's been attacked on the street. Last night he was held at knife point by some junkie, Nitty, who had 6 canisters, giant canisters of gas, and was just wandering around a London high street with these canisters of gas, threatening to kill my son in a local Sainsbury's. My son had to force the Sainsbury's people to let him hide out in the back of the shop. He literally was just popping to the shop for me because I can't go out on my own. It was broad daylight. He made them call the police. He called the police. I called the police. Between us, we made over 10 999 calls, and the police never turned up. After 2.5 hours of waiting in the back room, I told my son to call an ambulance. The ambulance came and they brought him home. And we've just received a call from the police now. It's a day later and they've just got nothing to say for themselves apart from, we're so sorry and it's not our fault. And my son's terrified to leave the house. We can't get out of London. We can't swap because no one wants to come in. I mean, I sat there last night on the phone to my terrified son thinking, am I going to lose my only surviving son? The police have abdicated all responsibility. They've given up the streets to the criminals, and we, the innocent, hardworking people, are locked in our houses like prisoners. So while they're releasing prisoners onto the streets, the normal law-abiding citizen is now locked up like some sort of house arrest. I might sound compos mentis, but I'm absolutely traumatized, as is my son, and now we're completely trapped in our own homes and no one's helping us to get out of here. And I don't know how long we can carry on like this. Thank you. Love your show. Love everything you're doing. I wish that we had more support here in London. We really are a dying breed out here. Let's hope that's not literally. God bless you all.
Wow. I mean,
wow.
That for me is, I'm almost lost for words. I mean, if that lady's listening now, first of all, I'm so sorry and, sad for the loss of your child. But the message in general from that lady probably sums up best why I even bother to do shows like this. That is it for me. That just sums up the whole thing. I mean, it's almost a message that's worth playing twice because every single word that she says is true. Every single issue that she talks about is factual. Every single problem in her life, so many people that live around the country, but possibly particularly in London, are feeling right now. When would the politicians listen to people like this, and what are they doing for them?
Well,
And
I think,
this is the problem we're
I
having.
think there's a suggestion. I've got a suggestion. I'm going to have to go. I've got a suggestion to make. I think what needs to happen at some stage is that groups of men, probably ex-military men, need to form a beefed up neighborhood watch. So basically they would be, they probably have to do some sort of SAI training or something along those lines. There'd be volunteers. They would start doing it in the local areas, and they would obviously have to be very, very level-headed, sensible people, but they could get themselves out and make a presence on the streets as a beefed up neighborhood watch in areas where there is high crime and serious sort of disorder. And they could be from all sorts of racial and religious backgrounds, just patriotic people who would actually take a stand against some of this stuff. And I think it probably will come to that, Paul, to be honest with you. And, it would be fairly straightforward to organize and coordinate. And if it was done with the cooperation of the local authorities, it could be a very good way of putting a lid on some of this sort of behavior. Because if you've got some, 6'2", 18 stone ex-soldier walking around, that's just going to not get violent, but certainly intervene in a very robust way, where the police are obviously failing to do that, then that's what has to happen. I spoke to a guy about 6 months ago about this, and he gave me some good ideas about how that could be done. But again, we can't do everything, Paul. We've got so much on our plate. But I think that's something that somebody, if they had the ability and the experience, could run with and set something up that'd be very, very good.
Claire, as a woman,
that's a good idea. That is actually, Richard. But it's like it shouldn't have to come to that in the first place. That's kind of like putting a plaster on the wound, sort of thing. We shouldn't be in that situation, should we? Really, in the first place.
But I think it's like what we do with the demos. It's like any of these things. Somebody's got to step up. And it just depends on what's more important: going to the golf club, going to the football match, or protecting your local community.
Claire, sorry, let me just come in here, guys. Claire, as a woman, do you recognise any of that?
Yeah, it breaks my heart to hear that. Can I just say that I haven't got much room here, but if she does contact you, just please let her know that she's always welcome to come here.
Bless you, Claire. Thank you so much. And if that lady is listening, you know, she's welcome to get in touch. I'd actually like to get her on the show. Simon, you're in Croydon, I believe, aren't you, or just close by?
Yeah, I'm up in Croydon.
Yeah, I mean, is it you know? How do you feel if members of your family were walking around on their own these days? Would it be a concern?
Well, for the female members of my family, yes. The male members of my family, no, because all of us have been brought up to be ready to go as if at a moment's notice. We've all been brought up that way. Don't back down from nobody. Don't let nobody intimidate you. Don't let no one walk all over you. It's the females that I'm worried about, because as on a previous show, I mentioned my sister who was in a cab and a Middle Eastern man made advancements onto her. So it's the females that I'm worried about. I'm not concerned of me. I'm not concerned of myself, my own safety. It's the females in my family, my mom, my sisters, my cousins. They're the ones I'm worried about. But I mean, on what Richard was saying about somebody wanting to start like a community patrol group, I've actually had that idea in the past. I've actually had that idea for a while now. The only problem I'm having is that when I've spoken to the police about this and solicitors, they always say to me similar things of it's borderline vigilantism.
Yeah,
that's the thing that concerns me.
That is what I was going to say in reply to Richard, who's had to shoot off. That I don't think the police would be having any of that. I think they'd be all over that like a rash. They wouldn't want it. They wouldn't like it. You know, we can't just, you know, you know, if you remember back in the 70s, I still believe they're about the guardian angels on the New York subway. You know, I don't think that would be allowed in the UK. The police would make their lives very difficult. Edward's a new member. Thank you very much, Edward. Really appreciate that. But that message for me was powerful. Sad, powerful. You could feel her pain, and you could feel her problems. And for anyone out there that lives in an area where they haven't got to worry too much about this, the people that should hear this are the people that are not awake. Those that are not awake and don't realise, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Smith that live at, you know, in some lovely Surrey cul-de-sac, you know, with their Mercedes on the drive and their 5-bedroom detached house. These are the people that need to hear messages like this so that they realise what is going on up and down the country.
And this is the problem. This is the problem. Where I'm at here, Paul, it's Ashby de la Zouch in Leicestershire. It sounds nice, and it is. We don't have any of these problems in this town. And so people aren't aware of the problems. And this is the thing. And there's many, many, many leafy suburbs that aren't witnessing this sort of thing going on. So they haven't got a clue about it. This is the problem that you've got.
Wake up, United Kingdom, wake up.
Basically, but they don't see it. It doesn't affect them. So they seem to, I don't know, turn a blind eye, or it's not ignorance, because that would be the wrong word to use. But they're not aware of it. It's not affecting them directly.
Martin, I have to say, though, I do think we have become over the years an I'm all right Jack Nation, I'm afraid.
Yes, we have, actually. Yeah. Without a doubt.
I had an idea where I've actually thought about creating with your channel's name, Maya Tusi, Reform, and all of that on this leaflet, and just going up and down the country, just handing it out. I'll use my own money to fund it. I wouldn't mind. This is actually an idea I've actually had, because this message, we need to spread it, and it needs to spread fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Simon, when we're on next, pop on. You're always a great guest. Right, guys, I'm going to slow things down. James Mackay has become a new member as well. Thank you, James. Guys, if you do want to help the channel, that's the best way to do it. Don't forget to hit the upvote button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Simon, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. Claire and yourself. Martin, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it, guys. In the future, you can see that.
Thank you, Paul.
We don't bite, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to say goodbye to the guests. See you later, Claire, Simon, and Martin.
Hi.
See you soon.
Take care, everyone.
Mate.
Thank you very much. What I'm going to do,
Later.
cheers, Martin. What I'm going to do before we go today is I think it's really important, actually, that I want to play that message one last time. And I want you to think about what you're listening to, what you're hearing, and let it sink in for a moment, because I believe there are hundreds of thousands of people around the UK that are feeling like this right now and are being ignored by our political classes. This is one of the reasons why I'm not overly impressed with a certain gentleman and a certain political party right now that is Reform UK. These are the voices that they need to be picking up on and weaponising and using to our advantage to spread our message. Please don't turn into the Tory party Mark II. Let's have a listen to this message one more time, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Hi, Paul and guests. I'm a 50-year-old woman and I live in London, and for the past few years I've felt increasingly unsafe and I don't leave the house. Sadly, my child passed away at the beginning of this year of a serious illness, and I've got one surviving child left, a young man. He's only 20 years of age, and twice in the last 2 months he's been attacked on the street. Last night he was held at knife point by some junkie, Nitty, who had 6 canisters, giant canisters of gas, and was just wandering around a London high street with these canisters of gas, threatening to kill my son in a local Sainsbury's. My son had to force the Sainsbury's people to let him hide out in the back of the shop. He literally was just popping to the shop for me because I can't go out on my own. It was broad daylight. He made them call the police. He called the police. I called the police. Between us, we made over 10 999 calls, and the police never turned up. After 2.5 hours of waiting in the back room, I told my son to call an ambulance. The ambulance came and they brought him home. And we've just received a call from the police now. It's a day later and they've just got nothing to say for themselves apart from, we're so sorry and it's not our fault. And my son's terrified to leave the house. We can't get out of London. We can't swap because no one wants to come in. I mean, I sat there last night on the phone to my terrified son thinking, am I going to lose my only surviving son? The police have abdicated all responsibility. They've given up the streets to the criminals, and we, the innocent, hardworking people, are locked in our houses like prisoners. So while they're releasing prisoners onto the streets, the normal law-abiding citizen is now locked up like some sort of house arrest. I might sound compos mentis, but I'm absolutely traumatized, as is my son, and now we're completely trapped in our own homes and no one's helping us to get out of here. And I don't know how long we can carry on like this. Thank you. Love your show. Love everything you're doing. I wish that we had more support here in London. We really are a dying breed out here. Let's hope that's not literally. God bless you all.
Welcome to the UK in 2024. If you haven't already woken up, now's the time to do so. We'll see you soon.